When I entered that cafe, I had nothing in mind. Just another job location, another contract, another set of specifications to cut once and measure twice. I'm Miles Carter, a 44-year-old general contractor, and I'm in the middle of reconstructing. My life following a divorce that left more than just a dent. I'm reminded of that by my teenage daughter, Jessa, who spends most of her time at her mother's place. With each brief text message and sporadic visit, I'm reminded that time never slows down for anyone. I construct decks, homes, and businesses, but for a long time, my life has felt incomplete. The cafe was sandwiched between a yoga studio and a quaint, slightly corny floral shop with a chalkboard out front that read, "Life happens, coffee helps." That's where I met Rain Morgan. She was wiping down a counter when I walked in. The place smelled like vanilla syrup and ambition. Her hair was tied up in a messy bun, real messy, not the curated Instagram kind, and she had a dish towel slung over her shoulder that looked like it had seen better days. She looked worn out, like she'd been stitched together by caffeine and sheer willpower since 6 a.m., still answering supplier emails. When she looked up, her glance was quick but not guarded. No fake smile, no forced welcome, just a nod, like we were already mid-conversation. After I introduced myself and said I was there to inspect the remodeling job, she handed me a binder full of specs without a word. Normally, silence like that would irritate me. But something about her presence captivated me. She felt like a quiet force of nature, solid, grounded, not trying to impress anyone. Over the next few days, we talked more. Slowly. At first, she had this dry wit, sharp as a box cutter, called the ceiling tiles corporate sadness. I laughed more than I expected to. She saw the espresso machine as her diva and treated the stainless steel like it was sacred. One day, while pouring me a cup of something black and bold, she said, "Laugh like it surprises you." She wasn't wrong. I'd been coasting on quiet for too long. Soon we started meeting after hours to go over design updates. She wanted to use repurposed wood for the counter. I told her about a salvage yard an hour out of town. That Saturday we went. She wore mismatched boots, sang along to Stevie Nicks, and sifted through piles of old lumber like she meant every word of every lyric. And that day I realized I wasn't watching her like a man watches a woman. I was watching her from that dangerous place between awe and hope. Hope that maybe this was something. Then came the name, Silas Grant. We were back at the cafe setting up floor samples when she mentioned him. Said walnut was too dark. Friend. Of yours? I asked. She nodded while texting. Best friend since college, she said too casually. The kind of answer you file away for later. Over the next 2 weeks, his name kept popping up. Silas didn't like the lighting. Silas preferred exposed brick. Silas thought open shelving was overdone, and the thing was, she started saying his name softer, like it had muscle memory. One day, on the back stairs of the cafe, I asked, as casually as I could, "You and Silas ever date?" She nodded slowly, deliberate. "A long time ago," she said. "But we're still close. He's family. That word, sharp and soft at the same time, depending on who uses it. I told myself I was okay with it. I wasn't the jealous type. I'd survived worse. But then Silas started showing up more often, always right in the middle of something. He never said anything overt, but there was a tone, an edge. Like he was sizing me up, testing the walls for weak spots. He'd toss her pastries from their old cafe like he belonged behind the counter. He'd laugh a little too hard at her jokes. And me? I felt like a third wheel, at my own job site. Still, I tried not to overthink it. Rain was Rain. She smiled at me differently, texted late, listened, not the way people pretend to listen, waiting for their turn, but really listened. But Silas hovered, like a shadow. I started asking myself questions I didn't like the answers to. Was I just a placeholder until he came back? Did she even realize how deep his roots ran? One evening, after I packed up my tools, Rain walked me out. The street was quiet, the cafe sign buzzing overhead. "Thank you," she said, touching my hand gently, "for everything." I wanted to say something meaningful. Instead, I asked, "Does he know you're seeing me?" Her expression shifted, a flicker. "Enough." "No," she said. "It's complicated." And I replied, "Yeah, I'm starting to see that." Over the edge, gazing at the building as if it might reveal something to me that I hadn't yet discovered in my previous marriage. I lingered too long, believing that love would regrow, like hair after a terrible haircut. The silence might have returned with warmth if I had put in more effort, been more patient, but instead I grew colder, quieter, and I finally realized I was alone in a house constructed for two. By the time I completed the paperwork and packed my tools, the holidays were split. I learned a harsh lesson from Jessa. Don't ask for a recount when someone shows you where you stand in their life. And yet, here I was once more, sleeping in the truck that evening, not screaming, not arguing, just leaving. I threw my jacket over my head like a blanket and reclined the seat back. It wasn't cozy, but it was mine. I got up the following morning, went to the corner cafe and ordered eggs. When I eventually turned my phone back on, I saw 6 messages from Rain. The first was short. Then came the defense. "You interpreted it wrong." Casual. "Hey, can we talk?" I didn't intend for it to sound that way. And then, the guilt. "I just needed you to understand how long I've known Silas." Then, silence. By day 2, she tried again. "I miss you. I hate how we parted ways." I didn't reply, not because I was trying to punish her or teach her a lesson. I just needed space. Real space. Because I couldn't hear my own thoughts. Hers were drowning out all of them, so I pushed myself into my work, leveling floors, sanding, installing drywall. There's something lovely about craftsmanship. The crown molding was so precise it looked like it had grown there. When your hands produce something tangible, quantifiable, and true, it's unlike emotions. Relationships are different. They're not like words that can be altered or denied. They fit, or they don't. Every night I came back to a quiet apartment. No music, no laughter, no half-used wine bottles in the fridge. At first, it felt empty. But eventually, it began to feel peaceful. On the 4th night, I opened her latest message. It read, "I'm sorry about Miles. I really care about you. I realize you need time, but please don't leave before we get a chance to fix this. I didn't mean to hurt you.